yeah.
Candid with
I'm really excited for you to check out this interview.
Candid with Kimbra. Hey y'all, I hope everyone's doing great. Today's podcast is going to be a little different and international because I'm speaking with an actor named Stephen Walters who lives in Liverpool, England. Yes, Liverpool, home of the Beatles and so many other wonderful things. We talk a little bit about Liverpool on this podcast. My friend Bob Earhart, who has also been on the podcast, was telling me about Stephen and how they're working on this project together. And they were telling me about it. And then Bob said privately, you've got to have Stephen on the podcast because he's quite interesting. He's been on a show called Outlander, which ran for many seasons. And I finally checked it out. It's so beautifully shot, a very beautifully shot series with great acting. He plays someone who's Scottish. So most of it, I believe, is shot in Scotland, as he told me. But if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. But he's done so many other things. He's also a writer, a producer, a musician, and quite creative. We talked about everything from addiction, which has affected both of us in some ways, from people that we know, relatives and such. And we talked about just everything that's important to him and life in general. And I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation with actor, producer, writer, musician, Stephen Walters. Welcome to my podcast where I'll be speaking with guests candidly about interesting topics. So join me on Candid with Kimbra.
In answer to your question, like once in a while, I do dip my toe into the madness, but on a consistent basis, I guess I would say no, I don't really like it, you know?
You've had your fill of that.
Yeah, how about Liverpool? How's Liverpool?
Do you know what? It's funny. I asked the question in that way because it's only 15 minutes away from where I live. I live slightly outside now. So I know, I mean, to be honest, I avoid the madness, but I know it's there. And I know, I can dip in and out, but I just like a quiet life now. I'm sort of gone, not a hermit. I've just gone more quiet, just more peaceful.
I know. Well, I want to introduce you before I forget, but today my special guest is Stephen Walters, who is an actor that my friend Bob Earhart introduced me to, right? Our mutual friend Bob. And by the way, I must confess, I started watching Outlander last night because I wanted to see I told my friend Leah about you, and she was like, oh, he's a good actor. He plays a Scottish guy, And so I said, I have to, but your accent is it's not similar to Scottish, but it seems like there's some connection, right?
There's a Celtic influence. Liverpool, I mean, the joke with Liverpool is it's the capital of Ireland.
You said that.
Most Liverpudlians have a Celtic, something in their history, in their background, in their roots. There is a Scottish root as well, but I don't speak with a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
But I find it quite, I don't know, maybe the sounds are similar. I find it quite easy to do. Scotland's been very lucky for me, actually.
Very lucky. I'd have to practice that accent because I had a friend who was Scottish. He was in this band that my other friend was in, and when I would talk to him, I'd always pretend like I understood what he said, but I didn't. I was like,
You need subtitles as he's speaking.
Yeah, I mean, he had a really thick Scottish accent. I don't know where he was from exactly, but
At Liverpool, I went to drama school, and so I was encouraged to speak slower. Let's put it that way.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Because I don't know. I always remember my acting tutor said, "Stephen, you speak like a Spitfire.
Sure.
You're too quick." He said, "Slow down, slow down." So I've learned over time to slow down as well.
I know, because I sometimes speak fast too, as well, but I think it's because my brain, it's just got all these things coming out and go, but
Yeah.
and I think everyone's going to catch on because they're usually very smart, but sometimes people are like, whoa, what? Too much information just happened, right?
Apparently, it is a cognitive thing. The quicker you speak, it's because your brain or your mind is thinking about lots of things.
Sure.
So, whereas, I don't know, maybe someone with a slow cadence and softer is maybe not as quick thinking, but sounds a lot clearer.
Yeah, I had my friend's father was like that. He would always speak very slowly and methodically, and most people were like, "Oh, come on, just hurry it up already."
Well, funny enough, it's definitely a screen technique for acting for sure.
Really?
When you slow your voice down in playing a role, there is something in it, and it's a kind of a mystery. Even now, I always still say, Stephen, slow down.
Right.
But when you project slowly, in my opinion, pound for pound, it's more powerful. It's more resonant. You listen more. It makes you go, and I don't know what that is. Maybe the old teachers used to speak very slow at school, and you would kind of, oh yes, sir, you would listen.
Well, because it probably gives you the impression that they're really thinking about what they're saying, and what they're saying is going to carry some weight, maybe, you know,
Yeah, is that?
and they sound more profound. You know?
It is.
Um, so can you get a little like a tad closer to the
Okay.
yeah, because that's better, yeah, because you were a little too far from the I've had to learn all these things from doing these Zooms, like when I'm too low, I'm too high, I'm too, you know.
Terrible. I'm terrible.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about Outlander though, because first of all, I've only seen the first episode, but it's so beautifully shot. Where was that show shot?
It was shot all over Scotland. It was shot. A lot of the interior and the studio stuff
Mm-hmm.
was shot in a place called Cumbernauld. The biggest, I think it's the biggest studio in Europe now.
Mm,
It's huge. It's like a world in itself.
mm-hmm.
The outside location, we shot from Glasgow to the Outer Hebrides to bloody Shetland to the islands. I mean, they don't call it. I didn't really know much about Scotland until I did that show. I've since done another show in
Mm-hmm.
Scotland.
Mm.
It's God's country. I don't know if you've been. It is. I implore you to, if you haven't, because it's just otherworldly. It really is. You go, what? And I think, sorry, leading that back to the show, I think Scotland, without sounding corny, is the start of the show. It's the backdrop. It's
Oh,
it's the feel of it. You know?
yes. First of all, I've had friends that have gone to Scotland. I have not been to Scotland. I've only been to London in England, but that's on my list because I have a friend that just moved to Ireland and she opened up kind of like a bed and breakfast and it's close to where she said you could take a ferry to go to Scotland. So I thought when I go visit her, I would do that, you know, because I've been told it's just beautiful. Like my friends, like a lot of my friends liked Scotland better than any other place they went in the area, you know.
Yeah, and I think again, I don't like generalizations because but there is truth in cliches sometimes, and the Scottish people are just very, um, very warm, very very funny.
Hmm.
Very quick. They speak quick, but
Yeah, they do. I know.
very sort of very welcoming, which is interesting considering historically the English and the Scots have not had a good history
Right, right.
with, and there's always that banter sort of underneath the skin of things. But
Huh.
oh, it's amazing, and I don't know if my son is in the prequel of Outlander.
He is? So was that filmed then afterwards though, even though it's a prequel, was it filmed after?
So I think it was 7 seasons of Outlander, and then
Hmm.
they've done a prequel taking the characters back, and they were having auditions for my character, but as a kid, as a boy, and I didn't know. I just moved on. It was gone,
Right.
and then somebody had called me and said, because I do these short films with my boy just for fun.
Hmm.
And I've seen him sort of acting in shorts with you. I said, what's his Scottish accent like?
Hmm. Hmm.
Now I said I could ask him.
Hmm.
So short story long, he went up to Edinburgh and auditioned and got the part. And now he's literally not yesterday. This week he was invited back for the second season.
That's awesome.
So
Does he look like you?
he's more handsome than me. No, 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 no. You know what? He's just a little natural. I'm biased as a dog in the fight because I'm his dad. He's so he's so natural, and he's a great mimic with accents as well.
Oh, wow.
And he's just they love what he did, and they've invited him back. So I said, look, it means you did something right. So he's over.
How does he feel about the acting? Does he want to be an actor?
You know what? I just put it to him. He'll do what he wants to do. I know that's that. He's only 13. But what I do say to him is, look, it would be remiss of me as your father if I didn't say that you couldn't do it, because he really can. And I can help you and give you tips and blah blah blah. And if you wanted to go that road, I think it's within him to do it without a doubt. And obviously, I act with children. I've acted with children on and off most of my career as well. And you shouldn't compare, but I, and I've had it off other people just to check, is it in my sort of bias? And I've said, listen, what do you think of this? Has he got it? He went, no, he's got it. He can do it. So in answer to your question, he will do it if he wants to do it. And right now, I think he's just he's keen, and he just wants to do it. So, which is great.
Well, how great is that though? Even if he decides to go like into music or something, or he wants to be a dentist, who knows? But when he looks back, he's going to be on a show, maybe not this filmed at the same time as you, but a show that he did with his father, right?
I mean, honestly, I've been blessed a few times in my life where, that tap on the shoulder moment where you go, whoa, what is this? And to see him doing a scene or scenes on the same sound stage as me when he was this big was like, it was far out. Honestly, some things you can't write. And you go, that was a moment where you go, whoa, I do believe everything in life is meant. But sometimes you have those moments where it's like, this is really meant. This is someone having a little smile going, here, look what I can do. Honestly, it was. And it's like, so it was just incredible experience for me, never mind for him.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. I mean, what a great fortuitous, and it kind of just fell into your lap. But like you said, kismet or whatever.
It
Someone
just
was,
landed.
yeah. Now I know you went to the Bristol Old Vic Theater. Is that the same Old Vic that they always talk about, like that Laurence
Yes,
Olivier and everyone went to, right? Wow.
yes. It was a big at the time. I mean, I think now things have become more corporate and business-like now.
Hmm.
Everything is business now. And when I went to drama school, which wasn't that long ago, I'm not that old, but
I know. You're only 35. What do you mean?
exactly. But sort of, it was more of a passion thing. It was called an acting diploma then. It wasn't a degree.
Oh.
You went because it was something that you just wanted to do. And it was very competitive then as well. And, it was looking back. I mean, I don't think you have to go to drama school to be an actor. I have to say that. I have to qualify that and say it. But it was good on a sort of more on a life level, on a social level. Most of the most of the young adults that were in my class were not from a background like me. I'm very working class, blue collar, not from money background. So I was in this school. Every other kid was either a millionaire or, was from his father was the business owner of this, or this girl was Stephanie Beatrice's daughter was in my, it was all like, whoa, it was far out. But I always sort of had within me a sense of, well, I just felt I was there for the right reasons and I'd earned my right to sort of be there, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Okay.
And it wasn't, and I was always slightly, and I'm still cynical. I can't help it. I'm only human.
Is
I
that a
still
Liverpool? Is that a Liverpoolian thing?
think it is.
Yeah.
I think something in the water in Liverpool are very, we take a kind of very sort of ironic pride in being very us and them, even in the UK. Now, people describe that as like a chip on the shoulder. I don't think it is. I just think we are very aware of our own identity. It's a unique place within the UK, Liverpool. Again, dog in fight. but I just know it is. And so you tend to carry that, you carry whatever you carry with you anyway.
Yeah.
So
Americans mostly know Liverpool from the Beatles, right?
yes.
And
There
what's
was an
that?
interview with Eric Idle that I was watching yesterday. And he went, the reason I think the Beatles made it big in America and just big anywhere, obviously they were brilliant. He said they were very funny.
Yes. Yes,
And
they
he went, and he said, and they didn't bow down to sort of, they weren't in awe of someone because they were someone else, or they had a sense of themselves. And that's a very Liverpool thing. That's a thing that I'm proud of. And I was aware of that as a kid as well. And then obviously if you're blessed enough to go to different places, you realize it's not like that in every other place. So, I was just thought of a funny story there. I remember being in the acting class one time, and who comes up the path in the school in the Bristol Vic was Daniel Day-Lewis. Now,
wow.
Daniel Day-Lewis, for me, he's like, not to sound sacrilegious, he's like a god of acting. He is the best.
Right.
No question. We'd need 2 hours to talk about why that is.
Yeah, well, we'll do another episode of, analyzing great actors.
Yeah. Oh God, I could talk all day on that. But the Liverpool in me. So when someone said Daniel Day-Lewis is coming up the path, so everybody jumped up and was looking out the window, and I just stayed on my seat and I was like, so what?
It's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's a great metaphor. That actually, that's a very Liverpool thing. It's not because I know I think he's amazing. I thought he was amazing then, but it's not. It's not in my nature to jump up and go, oh my God, it's like it's not. I guess I would say it was not a Liverpool thing to do.
Right. You
You get? It's not a city that's easily impressed.
Well, yeah, which when you were talking about something before we talked about the Beatles, it made me think about John Lennon because he was they were all kind of like that, but he was the one that was always being kind of what's the word, sassy, but he was always, challenging the status quo, which is sort of part of the whole questioning thing, and not just accepting things, you know.
But I think, again, without sounding sort of corny, I think I think that's a spiritual thing. I think that's when you're aware of something else. You're
Mm,
aware of the game, whether it's politics, whether it's the politics of the acting game,
hmm
whether politics of show business. It's all going on at the same time.
hmm
And I think a really aware person, I don't want to say smart, just aware, it's a feeling, goes, I'm going to do my best not to buy into it. I'm aware of it. I might even play the game,
hmm
but it's not going to get me.
That's very interesting. Yeah, that's a very good analogy because I think I'm smart, but I could use more of the aware thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean that to sound too sort of harsh either, or kind of like self-congratulatory in any way. I've seen fellow peers, actors, male and female, who have, if you like, maybe because they've not been aware of that, have gone down a wrong path. It's not just about the business of what we do; it's about the business of who you are.
Sure. hmm
And that project into life, into your work, into anything. For me, they're not separate.
Yeah,
So seen a lot of people, don't get me wrong, we've all done a few naughty things, but I've seen a lot of people go way down that road and they've lost themselves, or
sure.
some have not come back, sadly, or some have just completely disappeared out the game. And I do believe, ironically, it's because they bought too much into the game. I really believe that.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Or I know a lot that have succumbed to their, demons, and use things to make themselves feel better, addictions and that kind of thing,
Yeah,
which I never got into. I was just,
me too. I mean, I have family members that suffer addiction as well. And obviously, in anything, most creative arts tend to attract that. I don't know why that is. It's interesting.
because they're troubled, and I think the arts is attracts people. Some, not always, but it attracts people that maybe they didn't fit into society or traditional things. So it's a
Yeah.
creative outlet for them that helps them, and they maybe want to be seen in their own way, you know. So
Well, that definition that you've just given, I completely identify with that. What you just said, that's me. difference is, you know, I always slightly reneged and pulled back from the madness side, the addiction side, the going too far side, trying to, you know, fill yourself up with stuff that's really not going to help you in the end.
Sure.
And we've all dabbled, we've all done. I think you have to grow up.
Yeah.
But you hopefully learn that it's not going to fill anything. In fact, the hole gets bigger.
True. And you just need to fill it more and more, right?
Yeah, which is, I mean, I'm funny enough, I'm developing a TV series about addiction actually
You
right
are?
now.
For
I am.
Is it going to be for well, where do you want to distribute it or where do you want it to be seen or do you know?
I'm hoping it's the BBC.
That would be
I'm,
great.
I'm developing it with a really good production company in England. And it's an obsession with mine for lots of reasons. I mean, I'll share it. You know, it's Candid Cameron. Do you
Candid with
remember?
Kimbra.
Candid Kimbra. Better. My brother sort of really, all his life, bless him, he's no longer with us. He suffered with addiction and he was a beautiful soul. Really, honestly, what influences on my life and a good guy and all those boxes that you tick and couldn't quite see his own worth. It's really sad, you know, and breaks my heart thinking about it, to be honest, because to me, he was somebody I looked up to as my older brother as well, even though I often felt like the older brother.
Oh, wow.
But he went down that road, and it always fascinated me why. And he felt that he felt there was something inside of him he was not in control of. And he would talk in more detail about what that was. And I never felt that. And he'd always joke to me and say, Stephen, look, he said, you're fucking, sorry, forgive my language. He'd say, you're just mad anyway. But you don't need to take anything. He said, stay away from it. He said, keep your madness, keep you, but you don't need to go down the road. So I don't feel guilty. I feel blessed that I in a way, I saw the things what not to do through.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying because I had family members like that too. I had a cousin that indirectly died of a cocaine addiction problem he had, and but I saw that around me, and I it just did not look attractive to me, you know. Or even in the music business, I'd see people that dabbled in a lot of things, and I was like, I always joke that I was too vain, because I was like, I want to look good in 5 years, and
No,
I knew from a young age that if I went down that road, I was not going to look good in 5 years,
yeah. Unfortunately, it takes everything. And in the end, it takes your dignity, and it takes your sense of self, which is even more important. It destroys lives. And I saw it happen with, again, I was slight lucky because I was younger than my brother. It never quite affected. Well, I think I avoided it generationally. There was a drug thing around his era, so I was always slightly. I've always been a watcher. Hence, I think it's with the act.
hmm
People,
Observing, you're observing human behavior.
yes, I'm obsessed with behavior because we all behave the way we behave for a reason. There's always a reason, always. And so that intrigues me from a performing point of view, from getting into a character's mindset point of view. But when it, like you said, with your family member or my brother,
Cousin, yeah.
cousin, when it's close to you, it affects you even more on a deeper level because it's like it leaves an element of, without sounding or wishing to sound poetic, there is something mysterious about it. It's like, that's my brother.
Hmm.
Who I remembered and held and talked and laughed with and cried with, and you go, there's just a great mystery in that.
Yeah. Well, but you didn't start developing this idea for the show till what, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Well, it originally started out as a one-off drama that, please God, my brother read the first draft and he said, that's brilliant. He said, that'll get made.
Really?
I hope. And anyway, it's been sort of in the works since then. And it's amalgamated into different kinds of ideas and thoughts. And this producer has said to me, look, we would be interested in developing it as a series.
Mm.
The idea now is you have the protagonist, which, if you like, unofficially was Brother Brian. But it wasn't, but it kind of was. and you had all these other characters in the story. And the idea now is, and they all meet in this rehab. The idea is to take
Hmm.
every character's story back so they have their own episode.
Mm.
Ends up there, all from different back, a bit like drama school, really. All from different backgrounds, all from different shades of life, but arriving in this same place. So that's, again, that was another kind of life lesson through my brother. The irony that, addiction is no respecter of, it doesn't matter where you're from or what you have or don't have,
True.
or how broken or unbroken your family was. It just is a real thing, and it can affect, sadly, anybody.
I know it's so sad. Well, I, really hope that you get this made because in a way it'll be like not a tribute, but a thing for your brother. It'll be in his memory, right?
I hope so. It's provisionally called God's Mistakes. It was a line from that Brian gave me. It was a line that he had when he was in a rehab, and he said,
Was that your brother's name, Brian?
"Brian,
That was
yes."
my cousin's name, Brian. Isn't that funny?
Oh, go away.
Yeah, that's scary.
See that? You see, I believe that there are no coincidences. There just aren't. Everything happens for a reason. These things are. But he said he often felt like he was one of God's mistake in jest.
Hmm.
Oh, sorry, no. He said to this counsel, "I feel sometimes like I'm just this mistake." And this counsel came around to me and said, "Well, if you are, you're one of God's mistakes."
Mm.
Which I thought beautiful. That idea of like, I can't change how you feel, but I'm getting into esoteric conversation here, but you're one of God's mistakes, which I thought was a beautiful title, God's Mistakes. Because, God, you think of God and mistakes, well, it's almost like paradoxical. They're not really meant to go together.
Sure, sure, right.
So
No, it's beautiful. Gosh, I hope you get that made. Well, so I know you've made a couple of independent films already, right? Did you produce them or how did those get made?
um, they got made, I always call it hooker by crook. They got made as a kind of, some were financed, some
Mm-hmm.
through certain individuals, but most of them were. I've made those short films as a kind of, if you like, an audition reel in a way to show that, look, because it's my contention, if you can make a really good short from 10 to 15, 15 to 10 minutes that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's really good, hopefully, then it's easier to tell a feature film because you have much more time to breathe, to
Sure.
that thing again, slow down. You can take your time into a story. You don't need to rush it. So I kind of made them more out of an experiment, an artistic experiment to see how easy is this. And to be honest with you, not to sound, what it's like in the creative game. You just call in favors, and I know actors, and I just said, listen, I've written this thing. Do you want to be in it? And they go, yeah, go on. I know this cameraman. I said, look, Jim, can I borrow you for 3 days? I can pay you a few quid, and I can feed you. Yeah, go
Right.
on. And suddenly you have, almost out of the ether, you have a short film. In the same way, you're a musician. I don't know if you're right when you write a song. It is a little, the mystery of the creative process is like, well, that wasn't there before. And
Sure.
you go, again, there's that word mystery. To me, it's a mystery because it's sort of been the components of how anything comes together.
Yeah, it's so true. Speaking of musicians, I know you are a musician too, because I've seen some pictures. How important, what kind of role has music played in your life? Did you start playing when you were younger, or did you get into it a little bit later?
Music, oh my God. Funny enough, someone messaged me yesterday. Music is in the blood, in the bones, and in the memories. I thought that's a great line. And I thought, so to answer your question, for me, music sort of, it transcends the thing of even picking up a guitar and strumming the thing. It's about something much deeper again. And so my memories of music were informed from a very early, I mean, no, the Beatles. It's a musical city, Liverpool, by the way. Very musical city.
I've heard. My friend was there last year. She did the tour with the John Lennon house and Paul McCartney. I think Paul McCartney has a house too, you know.
Yeah. So I grew up listening to music, and like it's mad hearing stories from my dad who saw them play before they were known. You go,
Really?
yeah. I was like, what? He used to go in this place called the Litherland Town Hall, which was just like a little small club.
Hmm.
And when they finished, they'd obviously come off stage and just mix with everybody to have a drink, bit of a piss up, and go home. But he remembers them from, which is like for me, that's far out. Um, and then my neighbors were obsessed with the Beatles. So I just, from the age of 5, 6, I just listened to the Beatles, and I learned the guitar through these older lads who live next door to me. And then again, this kind of little tap on the shoulder thing. Marlo now plays guitar and he sings like a bird. Honestly,
Your son's name is Marlon?
Marlo,
Oh, Marlo. Oh, that's so.
Marlo.
I one of my good friends is named Marlo. It's a female, but she spells
Yeah,
it Marlowe.
Marlo's Marlo without an E.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's a beautiful name though.
But he,
Yeah.
go on.
Oh, you told me he plays very well. You said you think he's a better musician than you,
I
right?
think he's better. He's better than me at his age for sure. And he sings like a bird. And funny enough, again, the tap on the shoulder moments. Again, another blessing. Sometimes, I could be in here or my bedroom or whatever in the house, and it's like I hear him singing Beatles songs in his room, and I go, "Ooh!" And he's really taken to. He could always sing. He's always sang from when he was a wee baby, but now he can back himself.
Really? That's great.
Yeah. So again, it's like this thing of. It's a spiritual thing. It takes me back to being that kid when I lived next door to those boys who play guitar. And now he's doing the same, and it's the cycle of things. You go, it's
Yeah,
like
sure.
it's beautiful, and it's something that never. I always say it was something that somebody said to me. The guitar is like a friend that will never let you down because you can take it anywhere with you.
That's true. So it's easily to my friend that wanted to learn piano or guitar, and she was like, she decided on guitar because she said you can take it anywhere you go, easier to take.
You play you're musical, right?
Yeah, I play the guitar, keyboards, guitar better, I think. And I actually teach music part time. I started teaching at this place that it's a Salvation Army out here, but they had a donor that donated a lot of money and started a creative arts program. So we give music lessons to very, very inexpensively. And then they pay the teachers pretty good salary too. But the lessons are super inexpensive. I just finished 1 week of musical theater camp for for 9 to 15-year-olds for 2 weeks, and oh my gosh, that was a lot. 9 and 15-year-olds are a lot of energy, right? So I was just like, ah, but it was so much fun because I kept talking to them like I am an adult, but I was talking to them like they were adults, this is how you audition, and this is how,
Well,
but
who turns you on music? Who for you is like the Beatles to me?
oh, well, I'm very strange because I have eclectic taste when it comes to music. But I had these older cousins, my Brian, I told you, and they introduced me to a lot of their music. They were about 5, 7 years older than me, and then my best friend's older sister used to babysit us, and she used to play us all this music which she loved, right? So that's what kind of got me into rock and roll because she used to play like Rod Stewart and Queen and not so much the Beatles. That was more my dad actually. My dad and my older cousins, they liked the Beatles. So I remember thinking, wow, they have such great melodies. But in answer to your question, and then fast forward a little bit, I really got into the Stones, even though they were a little bit before me. I really liked them because they have some great songs. They're not
Yeah.
quite as wholesome as the Beatles, but
With the more rock and roll, maybe.
yeah, I like rock. But then I studied music in college, so I studied jazz too because I didn't
Wow.
really like jazz when I was growing up because nobody I knew was into jazz, right? But then when I was studying it at school, I really got into it. It was just I liked because I had to study classical first, and even though my grandmother was an opera singer, so I knew a little bit about opera, But when I started studying it at school, I was like, oh, this is just so restrictive. I always felt super nervous when I had to do performing in front of the teachers, So that kind of led me to the jazz, which was the only other thing that we could really study. So I started jazz. And then I was in this rock band at night. So I would go and sing rock and I'd say, I love the freedom. This is great.
You, have you always had a compulsion to perform?
Well, my grandmother used to give me these, a couple music lessons when I was a kid, and I took piano and guitar. And then this funny story, you might like this. So when I got into high school, I had this drama teacher. He one day he whispered to me, you're you're the most talented one in this classroom, and I said, and and I was, kind of oblivious to everything. But I really liked performing. But at my school, the drama people were considered the weirdos and the geeks, and so I didn't want all my friends to know that I was really into it. And isn't that stupid? It's like I was kind of embarrassed to be associated with them.
Yeah, understand.
And I should have been more like, this is who I am. This is, because I'm still doing it.
Interesting.
So I think that's why I like teaching these kids too, because I'm trying to instill in them this is a great, not everyone or any of them maybe will even go on to do it professionally, but it's a great outlet to have. And for me, it's been savior. Music was my savior, like 13, 14, 15. I just would pour I'd listen to all these, music people like Fleetwood Mac and Linda
Uh,
Ronstadt and stuff like that. And so it's music is a great outlet. But in answer to your question, well, so when I was growing up, my father, he was really into pop music. So he introduced me to all these great singers like Bonnie Raitt. They were kind of she's kind of blues, right? And then
yeah.
Linda Ronstadt and Joni Mitchell, because he was into all those kinds of, singer-songwriters. So I had a very living in Southern California, you get a lot of influence of different.
Us. And it's remained in the blood ever since.
Yeah, and I was just telling someone, I said, I wish I would have accepted at my teenage years that this is real. It's not embarrassing. It's
I think you know what. Honestly, maybe it's a retrospect and getting older, but I honestly feel so blessed and lucky. I don't like the word lucky even. Blessed is a better word. You know, like there's worse things we could have done. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
much worse. Like I said, my cousins were always getting into trouble. And the one didn't make it, and my older cousin, he's a engineer and he's doing very well, but he got out of him and his younger brother were both doing drugs a lot. And so, but I just, like I said, I'd see my cousins. I was like, ugh, that doesn't look attractive to me.
There was a great line I got very young as well. You know, that idea of like, you may even end up in a job where you earn a lot of money, but it just made you miserable.
Mm.
And you can't think of anything worse, to be honest. To me, that's a strange curse. And someone said you might as well fail at something you love
That's true.
rather than fail at something that you actually don't enjoy anyway.
That's true.
Do you know?
I know. I had a friend who was a dentist, and he went to dental school at USC, which is a very good dental school out here, and he used me as in my test model. He said, if you come and be my model for my school passing, I'll give you cleanings for the rest of your life. So I was like, okay. So anyway, he's still a dentist today, and I asked him, I said, so you must like being a dentist. And he's like, I hate it. He goes, but we spent all this money on dental school, so.
You know what? And again, not to knock dentists or anyone. Another great line. He went, all those people that spent that time in that education system, that they want their money. They're gonna. It's like, I want my dues now. It's almost like, I don't know. It's something that I've only got one son to worry about. It's like, just be very conscious and careful what you want to invest in, because you only get one go.
That's true. That's so true. Don't waste time. They say as you get older too, like don't waste time becomes much more precious. When you're young, like, and even a teenager, you just think I have all the time in the world. Just think of all the time we wasted doing stuff that was like not useful or helpful. You know.
Do you compose music?
I do. I just composed. This is something I'm very proud of. A friend of mine did a short film that they're going to enter in a festival. It's comedy. And we've done other little projects together. And so I said, will you give me a shot at doing the music? That's just something I always wanted to do, right? So I worked with another composer who did actually the bulk of the movie, but I did so far I've only done the credits,
Hmm.
but I think baby steps, right? And so I'm so proud of it because I'm working with electronic things too, which is not me at all. Like so I'm proud of even just doing the electronic stuff,
Wow.
But but I might want to do more of that because, I had a film class in college. It was music for film. And I remember thinking, man, if I were to do it all over again, I wouldn't mind of doing more of that because you're combining two things of, the film and the music. And
Yeah.
music makes such a difference with movies, you know?
Oh God. So oftentimes the actual soundtrack is more memorable than the movie.
Yeah. Which brings me to, can I bring up the thing about Bob and the project you guys are talking about? Yeah, because for people listening, it's like my friend Bob Earhart's comedian, and I had him on the podcast a few months ago, and he was like telling me about your project, and
Well,
uh, and you guys got brought together because of the love of the Doors, right?
yes. So I mean, it's weird with Bob. Obviously, you know him, but I feel like I know him, but we haven't met. It's a weird.
Oh,
I
wow.
feel like he's some kind of like other brother or uncle or something. So yeah, I saw his work, his channel on YouTube, which is probably one of my guilty pleasures. Is YouTube. I don't really watch TV or anything,
Right.
and I came across his channel, and I kind of very quickly nicknamed him the custodian of the Doors music. His films are beautiful, honestly.
Yeah.
The, his editing, um, his visual sense, the way he executes it, like a little mini movies. And I thought, who's that guy? Who's this? Could be it could be a woman. Who is it? It could be anybody. So I've never taken it upon myself to comment on YouTube. I thought, you know what? I'm gonna have to tell this person that I think their stuff's great. And so I did, tippy tappy, and that was it. And then he got back and tippy tap. So this went on for like, it was like pen pals through YouTube. And so I said, look, maybe we should communicate via email. It may be a bit more private. It's easier. And so we did. And we just found we had this mutual sort of, I don't know if obsession is the word, but it's close to an obsession with the Doors and everything to do with the Doors music. And
It's interesting. I was telling someone the other day because I've had the Doors have come in and out of my life too. Like when I think I was 19. I think I was an extra on the Doors movie at a scene with Val Kilmer. But I loved it. I loved working on that movie because I'm into costumes and stuff, and Oliver
oh,
Stone really does a good job. You
go
know,
away. That's how mad is that?
yeah. So anyway, but I know a lot of musicians that don't really take the Doors very seriously for some reason. I don't know why. I guess they don't think there's I don't know. I've met a group of people that they're not into the Doors, right? But on the other hand, what, 50, is it 50 years later, they're just like, bigger. It seems like they're bigger than ever, right?
I think because their music fundamentally is timeless. I think if I was to sort of, if I had a criticism of the Doors, and maybe this is why friends don't like them, they're very dark bands, very heavy, very break
That's
on through.
true. That's
It's
true. Yeah.
all about it's all about something very dark in human nature and human psyche. But I think it's something that as human beings, it's in our nature to want to wish to avoid that. And the Doors remind us that it's there. And it's like this. I always imagine it's like a bird, one of those falcons or an eagle that's watching everything. And the break on through the fine line between life and death or joy and sadness. And I always felt they were the best band for walking that tightrope,
Yeah. That's
whatever that.
that the edge and also Jim Morrison always seemed like he was on the edge of just going off the edge. You know what I mean? He was just like dangerous, you know?
Well, he said, was it, what was the line about out here in the perimeter, there are no stars, out here we are stoned immaculate. he always tended to talk about things that pushing the boundaries. What is
Right.
the boundary?
That's
He
true.
probably would have said there was no boundary.
Right. Which is
You know,
kind of, yep, you're right about that. Um, so you guys both had this obsession, for the lack of a better word, and then you started telling Bob about the movie idea that you had for it, right?
yes, but I mean, to be honest with you, I struggled with an idea because I thought The Doors has been already done with the movie that you've just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Countless documentaries on them. There's been even Bob's channel's great in its own way to exploring what the Doors mean. So I thought I'm a great believer in not rushing something or forcing something that doesn't feel right. And then as I'm talking to Bob over the years, a couple of years, I'm thinking, and he's telling me his stories about his life, and I'm always filtering, I'm always taking things in sort of subliminally at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sort of developing a storyline that has the Doors as a backdrop, but it's fundamentally about this guy in search of his past. So it's not really about the Doors, but the Doors is a shadow of the piece.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As I'm writing it, I'm about 75% there now, and it's really good. I don't want, I hate that to sound facetious, but I have to believe it is. I think it is. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, who can play this part? And I think, well, I think I'm a little bit too young for this part. And then I'm thinking of actors that I know, and my head's going all over the place. And then it sounds again a corny or a eureka moment. I went, hang on, this protagonist is Bob. It is him. I don't mean him as in like,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
not him playing himself, but the essence, the juice, the meat of it is being massively influenced by him. So as I'm writing this thing, I wasn't subconsciously I was subconsciously understanding that, but not consciously. And then when I went, boom, it's fucking hell. Sorry for my language. You are this part. You have to play this part.
He must
And
have
then,
loved that though, because I don't know if Bob ever, I think he thought about being an actor years ago, but I don't know about, more
well,
recently.
to be honest with you, again, the actor in me, because I've directed a few short films, there's something about Bob's cadence and his physicality, even his laugh. Actually, he's got a really naughty laugh, which I love. It's kind of cackly, sort of. And I thought, in the right part, with the camera in his face, he's got a great face. It'd be really good. And I thought, it's him. I said, you've been waiting all your life to play a lead part in a film, and this is it.
That's so great. You're very, I love people like you that are not only, you're an artist yourself and you want to work, but you also support other people, you know?
Oh, listen, I'm a great believer. I would only support somebody if I believed in them, though.
Right.
I say that. So it's not like I don't think anyone's a charity or does something for nothing. I actually believe in him. I think he's got something. I really do.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm
awesome.
hand on heart. And in answer to your question about helping people, then I don't know about you. I've been blessed by a helping hand throughout my life. When I look back, I think, wow, that person then, that teacher, that drama teacher, the first director, the director who hired me again. We all need a bit of, again, I don't like the word luck. The best definition I heard of luck was where hard work meets an opportunity.
That's true. When you, oh wait, is it preparation meets opportunity or something? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, exactly. It's that thing of you're driving, you're working towards something, and then something happens. So it's in a way you've kind of instigated it, but in a way it is still a blessing as well. So yeah, no, I think it's good for karma and your own soul to help when you can. Actually, I think it's important.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I read the treatment, I guess you'd call it, right? I read a treatment a long time ago, and Bob was saying, "Yeah, there's this waitress that maybe you could play." So I was like, "I'm always the waitress, and I've never been a waitress before." I'm kidding.
I have to get defensive for you. So that part,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I don't know. Have you seen the movie Straight Story? David Lynch's Straight Story.
No, but I love David Lynch, so I'd have to. It's called Straight Story.
Yes,
I'll
I
write it
implore
down.
you to watch it because it's just the most simplest, beautiful, complex narrative that you'll watch. And it's just about, I won't give it away. It's basically about a guy heading one way and you find out what happens.
Mm, mm,
I've grown up with American road movies. So obviously I'm from Liverpool,
mm,
but I have this, not vision, this impression,
mm,
America and Monty Hellman's Two-Lane Blacktop,
mm-hmm.
Easy, um, Paris, Texas. This kind of idea of
Oh yeah.
a man on the highway, a man on that big open road. He's going, or a woman. Someone's going somewhere, and it's that vast expanse of the physical landscape of America. In my head, seems like everything seems bigger in America anyway.
It is. I mean, really, it is. Just California alone is huge, right?
Yeah. So it's that it's influenced. It's influenced very much by that and the character of Belinda. And I mean, again, I'm not just saying because we're talking, because it would be phony
It would be
if
disingenuous of me.
phony. Yeah, it would. But so I'm writing. I think I'd mentioned. I think the character's actually, yeah, the character's
In the
the
tree,
breakdown
the breakdown, yeah.
in the, and so she's a great very complex character, Belinda. And it's like, again, I don't want to give it away, but I'd love you to read it. I'd love you to
Yeah,
see your thoughts on it.
I can't wait. So you got about you said 75% done. So maybe aren't you coming out? Bob mentioned you guys might be coming to Los Angeles. Is that true?
I would love to come out with my son, if possible. I don't know whether it'll be this summer, but if not, maybe Christmas time. I don't know.
Oh,
We're just,
that'd be awesome.
or if not with my son, I will definitely come over and we've got to have a night out, me and Bob for sure. A weekend out maybe.
Yeah, it's where you guys can finally meet. Yeah, so yeah, we were talking about it and he said that you were planning on something. I said, "Well, I want to meet you guys." And he goes, "Well, of course."
But I saw was it a show reel of yours where have you done quite a bit of comedy?
Um, I wouldn't say quite a bit, but I love comedy, but I used to be really into drama and I still am, but I got to a point where I was like, I need to laugh because I feel like when I do drama, I have to drudge up all these horrible memories. That's how I work, right? So it's like, but anyway, in answer to your question, yes, I've done a lot of comedy. I love comedy, and you saw something of mine probably online, right?
Oh, it was really good, and I'm a great believer in, again, because I've known Bob for ages, and then he sent me some stuff of yours.
Oh,
Again, it's that coincidental thing, but there are no coincidences. That idea, but when you work with anybody, I think there's always a shorthand if you know the person. It's just easier, and
that's
so
true.
sometimes it's like, oh well, I know this girl, she'd be great for that. But it's like, oh, you go. Sometimes it is just that. That's the reason why.
Yeah, I know. And Bob's been so he always, we did those tours, those USO tours, and I didn't know Bob until we did the tour. But my friend Julie, who was sort of in charge of the whole group, she knew Bob for many years before that and brought him and Sal on. But Bob and I always got along really well. And once we left those tours, he brought me in to produce this show with him that he was doing at a museum out by where he lived. And I brought a lot of celebrities that like they were kind of back from the Bob. They were like older celebrities that I don't mean that they were old, but they were just from like the Bob Hope days. And so anyway, I knew people that knew people, so we brought him in. So we did that show together, and he's always trying to look out for me, which is really nice. And then I hadn't heard from him for years, and then somehow he emailed me from Mexico and said, "I've got this YouTube channel," and I was like.
He's what we call in Liverpool. He's a proper character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a different kind of guy, and so anyway, we have these reunions sometimes. We're due for another reunion with the USO girls that did the tours, and Bob, and we've all sort of stayed in touch, which is really nice. They were like we have memories. We went to Africa. I don't know if Bob told you we went to Africa, the Middle East. Um, excuse me,
What
Korea, but I think Bob was just on Africa and the Middle East.
What did you do on those tours? What did you do?
Well, I was in there was a group of I think it was 6 girls. Bob knows the exact number because we brought the comedians on. I think we always had 8. So sometimes we'd have 6 girls and then the 2 comedians. Julie asked Bob and Sal to do it because in the Middle East, we needed protection. They just really, and Africa too. So anyway, in answer to your question, we had a singing and dancing group, right? And then Bob and Sal would open. But we did pre-recorded tracks because we couldn't afford to bring a whole band. So, and they were all more dancers, and that's like I can dance, but it's like the least of my talents. It's like I'm more of a singer, songwriter, actor. But the dancing, I have to like work my butt off. It's like one time I did South Pacific, and I had a little dance, and I was like backstage the whole time, just doing the routine, doing the routine.
I must admit, one of the few things that haunted me about drama school is every morning we had to wear these tights, tight tights and jazz shoes. I always remember tights and jazz shoes.
Oh my God.
I did it, and I'd always be hiding in the back. I was the one hiding in the back on the right.
Right.
And the teacher, she was a lovely lady.
Mr. Walters.
Even you're doing it out front. But funny enough, it's funny how, again, ironies of life. I've just been at a drama that's been out on the BBC recently. And at the end of the drama, my character has to dance. Right? I don't have 2 left feet, but I'm like you. It's like, it's the least of my qualities.
Yeah.
And honest to God, what was weird, I don't know what happened. Maybe I don't care now because of a certain age. I was like, I was getting into it. I was bang into it. And the clip went viral of it's called the Bamboo Song, the House of Bamboo.
Right.
Like, I had to look at the irony of that. No way did I ever think when I was 20 years of age that I'd be dancing in a drama on a viral clip that people were going, I get stopped and they go, "Oh, you're a great dancer." I go, "Are you serious?"
That's awesome.
Isn't that mad?
That's lovely. I think that's great. Yeah, because this is a funny story. I auditioned for a casting director friend of mine for this true crime thing, right? And she's like, but it's very strange. You have to do, it's true, they do a lot of these true crime things out here where it's like recreate, true crime. So she's like, but you have to learn this. I thought of you because I kind of was similar to the character in a way, but she said you have to do a dance and a song. And I'm like, well, what does the dance and song have to do with true crime? She goes, I don't know. They're going to make some big special out of it or something. So they sent me the stuff and it was like more of a hip hop dance, which is like my least of my things, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get this because it's this hip hop dance, And I brought a friend in to help me. And finally, you know what? I didn't even copy the dance. I just did it my way, but kind of in the style of, right? So I'm like, there's no way. So I got called back with just like 3 people, right? And then the song, it was okay because it was easy. But so there was a big audition. I got called. There's 3 of us left, and I had to do it through Zoom too. So anyway, my friend, the casting director, called me afterwards, and she goes, "You were so good, but you look too young for the part." And I was like, "Oh!" And I was like, because she was supposed to be a little older than me, And I was like, "Well, if I'm going to lose for something, that's the best way." But she was like, "You were so," but I never even thought I'd get a call back because it was like this whole hip hop thing, And I was like, but, how performers are like, we'll work really hard if we want to get the part, right?
And a funny thing as well, that audition you're just describing there. Again, I believe every experience, if you do it with a good heart, if you do it with the right intention, every experience is valuable. So the fact that you did that audition as well is a good thing for you.
It's true. I'm trying.
Yeah,
I hear some actors, gosh, somebody famous was always saying, is it Bryan Cranston? I don't remember. I was listening to an interview with him, and he was saying like, I'd always go not to get the job, but like for a chance to perform. And that particular audition, I felt that way because I'm like, if I can do this, this hip hop thing, I just got such a kick out of it,
Well, funny enough, my son had an audition about 3 weeks ago, and it's something that I've always used for myself. Is that idea of like all you can do in an audition is not only like you just said, do it your way, present something your way.
Uh-huh.
Give give them a headache, make them remember you. So if it doesn't go your way, they're gonna go, I do remember Kimbra, it's like she might have been right, but it's like for something else.
Yeah.
That has proven time and time again to be true for me.
Yeah.
So just give them the headache. I would say give them a headache.
What do you mean by heady? Does that mean your best job or?
That's my dialect. A headache.
Oh, a headache, like a headache.
A
Ah.
headache. Give them thinking, if we don't cast him, then we're going to lose that version. Give them a headache. Go like, this is how I see the part. If you want to go somewhere else, as you know, these things are not in our hands anyway. But the idea of like what is in your hands is to leave the headache. So they're going to go, I remember he's coming back or she's coming back.
That's great advice. Yeah, because I had a friend too that she auditioned for she was doing Broadway stuff, and there was a two casting director team that she told me you had to have to audition for all the time. Then eventually they would get and at the time I was like, oh my gosh, if I didn't get it after 8 times, I'd be so humiliated. But she finally got a big part on Broadway, and she had auditioned for them like 10 times, just always, and eventually.
There's a great Robert De Niro movie. It's one of his least known movies called Bang the Drum Slowly.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah. I never saw it.
It's excellent. I mean, he's excellent, and everybody's like, and he talks about he auditioned 7 times for it, and in the end he went, I've got nothing else to give. I've got nothing else to show. I'm clearly not right, or I'm not. But then anyway, short story long, he ends up getting cast, and he said his experience of that was they didn't even know what they were looking for. They didn't know. It's like, well, I can only turn myself inside out so many times. I'm not a magician. And in a way, he resigned himself and said, look, I'm not the guy. Good luck. And then he got offered it. But what's interesting is that idea of, I've heard that with quite a few. I haven't had that quite, where you've gotten to 7 or 6 callbacks and then to not get it, I think is almost cruel.
I know, it's so true.
Because it's like, what were you looking to see after 3 callbacks?
I know. Which is another short little story, but right now, everything's self-tape, we call DIY, do it yourself, DIY. But
Yeah.
I had to do one other thing where there was like 6 little clips they wanted me to do, and my friend helped me, and I thought, gosh, if I didn't have someone to help me, I wouldn't be able to do this. So she's like, we got to get SAG to change out in America it's SAG, and Screen Actors Guild, and she's like, we're gonna get SAG to change this because it's too much work.
It is. I mean, to be honest with you, I used to loathe self-tapes, but now I don't know whether I've convinced myself, but I actually love them now.
Really? That's great.
And the reason for that is, to be honest with you, don't get me wrong, I think it's always good to meet somebody, to see somebody. It's always there's a lot of benefits to that. Mm-hmm. To a self-tape is you can cock it up 10 times, 15 times, 20th take, and you nail it.
Right.
And it take because they haven't got the time, because they just don't, whatever the reason is, they go, him or her.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's like, I used to hate ADR, where you have to add
looping.
But now I love it because I think it's actually an opportunity to get another percentage out of what you've already done. Just
That's true.
get something else rather than, oh God, why do we have to do that? I can hear it. It's really clear. Think, okay, well, let's do it again. And let's actually make it better.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I'm going to be watching maybe this weekend, maybe tonight. I'm going to watch another episode of Outlander, because the first episode, you were in it, and you're in it, but not as much as I have a feeling you're going to be getting in that. Remember the first one, you weren't in it that much, right?
Yeah, to be honest with you, the 2 main characters in that show, it is, in effect, it's a love story set in the past. It is about the 2 protagonists, to be honest. But what was good about it is there were lots of nice sort of supporting characters around. There was a few good actors in there. I can't think now because it's been ages since I've... there's some good actors. Graham McTavish comes to mind. He's a really good actor.
Yeah, they were great. The 2 leads so far, I'm really enjoying them. And by the way, those Scottish men were very misogynistic, right?
I know. It was the time.
Because you had a line, I remember you were something like, "Did you hear what you said to me?"
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, what I liked about, funny enough, when I auditioned for that, I've always wanted to take, because I have a bridge here, and I've always wanted to take my teeth out for a role.
Oh, wow. And you got to do it for that.
Well, I thought this guy, this Scottish guy, I thought he's a fighter, he's a brute fight. Funny enough, I used to box when I was little as well. I forgot to say, I used to be a boxer.
Oh, really? I used to love boxing. Well, not me watching it.
Yeah, so I'm from a family. My two uncles were professional boxers, so
Wow.
that's it's in my DNA somewhere. Not to
Sure.
fight,
Okay.
the art of boxing. I mean, not to fight,
Yeah.
but it's in me somewhere. And I thought the character in that, I thought he's been in a few fights and he's had his teeth knocked out. So again, when I went audition for that, I just took the teeth out and didn't say anything, and they all went. They're all a bit like, shit, what's he doing, kind of thing. And I didn't myself. I just did the thing and I left.
That's perfect. You got to use your.
Yeah. And so again, who would have thought when I knocked my teeth out and didn't replace them with root implants that I would have used it. So it's weird. These things come into play at different times in your life when you least expect it, and that's definitely a lesson that I've learned, that well, you can't know when you're young. You can't know that then, because you just kind of, everything's 100 miles an hour, and but it's amazing how things do come back in your life through time. That's a good thing of getting older.
Yeah, you're not old yet.
Not old. No, in my head, I'm 18.
Yeah, I know, right? We're all that way. Like in
Yeah.
my head, I'm 25.
My dad, my dad is 80, whatever he is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I take the piss out of him in a jokey way. I said, "You still think you're 18?" And his spirit is just like, he's really funny and like cocky, and he's like, I can see the 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, I know. My stepfather is he was quite a bit older than my mother, but he's like going to be 90 now.
Wow.
Yeah, and he just drove across country. He kind of came of age. He moved to California in the Steve McQueen era. Like he was into motorcycles and stuff like that. So and he's really into cars even now. But so he up until like 2 years ago, he was still driving across country to go to Vermont all by himself. You know, and I was like, call me every night, because
Oh,
the eyesight I worry, but he's still like so what's the word lucid, and he so into politics still, and he's always giving me cliff notes about what's going on, and happening in Israel and blah 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 blah, blah, so
and plus, that generation were just tough anyway. You know, he's 90. My dad's, I think he's 84, 5.
right.
So from a generation, it was just a different time. Even people say when men were men. It was a different era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you can learn when you look at the mess the world's in now. You can actually learn men like that.
That's true. Yeah, my stepfather's really actually good for advice too. Like even with relationships, he's very cuts level-headed and because he's from Vermont and he's got that New England kind of like, well, it's just very like.
Great.
So he's funny. But I could talk to you all day, but I know I have something later, and I'm sure you do too. Because what time is it there in Liverpool?
It must be getting on. It must be nearly 10:30 now.
Oh my gosh, it's past your bedtime. So anyway, I'm so glad we made this happen, and Bob is going to be so happy that you came on.
Oh, listen, I'd do anything for Bob, and if you're a friend of Bob's, then I'm a friend of yours. I just really think he's great.
Oh, yeah, he's a good guy. I'm hoping that, well, he's down in Mexico, so I don't know when I'm going to see the guy, but might be when you guys come up or when you guys meet, right?
Definitely, and then we'll keep in touch with regards to the project, and
Yeah.
and trust the blowing of the wind.
Trust in the magic. But also, I can't wait to read once you get a little bit further down. And you're just writing it all by yourself, right?
Oh God, yes. I mean, I'm pretty sort of obsessive and very sort of yeah. There's no co-writing. Yeah,
great. I've written a couple of screenplays, but I always did it with somebody else because I'm not as motivated. The setting the thing is like they're coming over. I got to be ready for so it was always the thing. But that's great that you do it by yourself. So because then
The whole collaboration thing, I mean, it's like, don't get me wrong, as actors, you collaborate on sets and stuff with
right.
directors. But it's a funny thing, collaboration. It's I think with writing, unless you're like Lennon McCartney and you're very lucky, I think it tends to be a solo, isolated experience. I think
Hmm.
you're not writing a tune or a script or a poem, painting, anything. I think creative sort of, it tends to be a sort of a solo thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, me for my music, it is, but I do co-write with others for sure. I mean, because I write with a lot of people who are better musicians than me, and they can come up with better licks and chord progressions and stuff like that. So, but with lyrics, it's always, but I have written, I don't know, I've done both. I've done both, but sometimes I need that person because I'm not as disciplined as I'd like to be about finishing projects, So, I mean, those kind of projects. So, I like the idea of having deadlines and, expectations.
Where,
What's that?
yes. Yeah, to get a deadline's important.
Yeah, I'm a deadline kind of person because I have so many things going on, So anyway, but it was such a pleasure. And so your son lives with you?
Yes.
So, but he's probably off. No, is he in bed already? No, he's not.
I don't think
Yeah.
he, if I attempted to get him, he'd just give me that look like don't even go there.
I know. I should have asked you earlier. Get Marlo over here.
He wouldn't do it. I
Oh.
I, I do well.
He's like, Dad, I don't want to be on your corny podcast. And
Uh, Listen, he's cooler.
he's too cool for school, right? All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'll let you know when this is going to come out. We're celebrating the 4th of July soon when we broke away from the British.
Of course, it's a big day,
I
isn't it?
know. It's a big party day.
Have a
All right. Thank you so much, Stephen. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon, okay?
God bless. It was lovely talking to you. Take care.
You too. Bye. Candid.